Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my channel, Taylor Does Whatever, where basically I film whatever. Anything from true crimes to vlogs to beauty stuff. So, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I did want to do a true crime video because I have not done a true crime video in a while and you guys honestly seem to really enjoy them. So today's video is going to be very, very interesting, and I did just want to apologize for not filming a video in a few weeks, but when I show you why, you'll get it. So we got this little baby. Yeah. Say hi. So we just got this sweet little nugget, and honestly, I have been trying to film a video for so many days now. I just can't because all I want to do is cuddle with her. But this is one of those cases that honestly, looking into it, there are so many different theories. Like, I probably won't even be able to cover all of the theories. And at the end of the day, like, I have no idea what happened. Like, I truly can't decide. So if you guys have any theories about this case, maybe that I didn't mention, or if you guys watch it and think you guys have a theory, leave your comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys think happened because I can't make up my mind. So this is a long video, so let's just jump right into today's case. And today's case is going to be the Jamison family case. So the family consists of 3 people. There is Bobby Jamison, the father, the daughter Madison, and the mother Sherilyn. So to kind of give you guys like a brief history of what I've heard from the family is, one thing that they really enjoyed was just kind of being away from people. They seemed to not want to be around a lot of people. They were also looking to purchase property in a different part of Oklahoma. They're also into some kind of unusual things. So the mom, Sherilyn especially, was really into kind of like witchcraft, and I've read kind of different places that her friend mentioned that she kind of thought that it was just a joke, and some people say that she was pretty seriously into it. I know that they had kind of this like trailer thing in their front yard or backyard, and basically like she had a bunch of really odd things written on it, like things about like black cats and witchcraft. Another really strange thing about the family is they were convinced that they had a ton of ghosts living in their house and that they were kind of messing with them. A lot of things that I read said that Sherilyn had a bunch of writings and like Satanist Bibles and things like that. I don't really know how you call them. And basically like talking about how they have like demons and ghosts in their home. Their pastor even told authorities that the Jamisons were so convinced that they had ghosts in there that they wanted to find bullets specifically meant for ghosts. So they were a little off. I mean, whether or not they had ghosts in their house or not, their behaviors were just a little odd to some people that were around them. So on October 8th, 2009, the family decided that they wanted to move and they wanted to purchase property in Red Oak, Oklahoma. So they decided to pack up all of their belongings and fill up their truck. They had their family dog, they had their daughter Madison, and they left. So after a few days, the family noticed that the Jamisons hadn't arrived back home to Eufaula. I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry if I'm butchering it. But Sherilyn's mother realized that they hadn't been home in about 3 days and started getting kind of nervous. So she actually decided to tell the police and try to file a missing persons case for them because they never showed up back home when they were supposed to. They didn't really have another place that they were staying. It was on the 8th day when authorities decided to start searching the mountains for where they could be, because at this point it's been about 8 days. And so they decided to do a really extensive search. So they took off into basically the mountains, and that's when they discovered their family's truck on this like super large plot of land. Like, it was this huge plot of land out in the middle of nowhere with dense woods surrounding them and kind of pretty rough terrain. Basically, there was nothing around them. Like, it was literally just empty land. This is when things start getting super bizarre, because when they found the family truck, the dog was actually left inside the truck. So the family itself, the Jamison family, was absolutely nowhere to be found, but their family dog was inside of their car, hadn't eaten, hadn't drank anything in like the 8 days now that they have been missing. And she was literally like almost dying. Like, she was in really severe condition. But that's not the only weird thing that they found in their truck. They found some very interesting things. One of the most interesting things that they found was underneath a bunch of things inside a bag, they found $32,000 in cash. That's a lot of money. They found a GPS, they found both cell phones belonging to Sherilyn and Bobby, and everything seemed to have been left in the truck. There was wallets found, there was prescription like pill bottles that were found, but Bobby was prescribed to prescription medication for his back, so it wasn't anything unusual. There were no drugs found in the car, but it was just a little odd that they found $32,000 in cash, and everything seemed to be intact. Like the car itself wasn't ransacked or anything like that, but they were just gone. A few other things that they noted that were in the vehicle was a 11-page note that was actually written from Sherilyn, and it was addressed to Bobby. And within the note, it was actually a pretty aggressive, it was basically just not a good note. It was talking about just kind of like their relationship, and she just seemed a little upset with him. I didn't read the actual full note, but from what I've gathered from information, what was inside that 10-page note was not pleasant, to say the least. But when authorities talked to their family, they said that nothing was really super off with Sherilyn and Bobby. They had their fights like normal couples, and a lot of times Sherilyn would kind of just write notes. Like that wasn't something that was super unusual to the family and to the people who actually had known them. But obviously to authorities that was somewhat alarming because it did seem a little weird. Sherilyn also did own a gun that was normally kept in the vehicle, but it was actually nowhere to be found. So at this point, authorities have no leads. They have literally no idea what possibly could have happened because they found the family car and it doesn't seem to have any, clues or anything aside from like the bizarre things that they did find in the truck. There wasn't any evidence that someone was there, that someone was going through their belongings, like that they had an altercation of any kind. It was just still very odd. So they decided to kind of go back to their home and check a few things out just to kind of see if they can put their story together. So on the day that they left, this is something that was super bizarre, and they actually found footage from just like a family home like camera. And on the footage, it shows the family packing up the truck, but in like a very odd trance-like state. If I don't post it in the video, I will definitely leave a link to it so you guys can watch it. It is very bizarre, but basically it's the family and they're walking around almost in like a zombie-like trance, carrying belongings to the truck and then taking the things out of the truck and bringing them back into the house. And they actually did like 30 steps back and forth. Like they went back and forth with belongings to load and unload the truck 30 times. While they were moving their belongings back and forth from the house to the truck and vice versa, they weren't interacting with each other at all. So when the video was analyzed by a psychologist, that was one thing that they noted was like that they weren't interacting, they weren't speaking or communicating with one another. They were literally just passing each other, which made that trance-like state to be a little suspicious. They definitely said that it could be drugs. A lot of people do think that they were under the influence, and Sherilyn's family said absolutely not. There was no evidence, like they didn't find drugs in their home of any type. The only drugs that they had were the prescription drugs that were prescribed to Bobby. So it's not like they had any, hard drugs or anything like that that could have, put them in that weird trance-like state and also maybe explain the $32,000 in cash. Some people say that the $32,000 in cash is because they wanted to use that to maybe purchase land, and that it wasn't drug related at all. It was just that they wanted to kind of start their life over and disappear, and that's the money that they were going to use to do it. Something that they discovered that some people do find to be rather kind of suspicious again, it really just kind of depends on how you interpret it. I don't know how I feel, but they did find a video of Madison, the daughter, a photo of Madison, the daughter, on Bobby's cell phone. And she seems to be kind of uncomfortable. Like some of the people around them think that maybe it wasn't even Bobby or Sherilyn that actually took the photo. She seemed to be kind of like tense and she wasn't really smiling. She almost had a worried look on her face. So from the people who know her, that's kind of the description that they had, that wasn't her normal look. So whether or not that was suspicious, that photo was taken on the day that they went missing too. So it was actually in front of like a rock that was nearby, like on a trail. So it was just kind of bizarre that they found that like on the day they went missing, and the fact that it doesn't really seem to fit Madison's normal description. So now there were absolutely no leads, there were no bodies found, and eventually they didn't necessarily like give up on the search, but they weren't coming up with any other clues. So on November 15th of 2013, the remains of 3 individuals were actually found in the mountains very nearby where the truck had been discovered. They were actually found 3 miles away from the truck, and the bodies were in a very severely decomposed state. So it took them several months to actually figure out and DNA test to see if it was the Jamison family. And around July, I want to say, that was actually confirmed that it was the family. So the family was actually found. They were all lying side by side and face down, like on the ground, but they were in a line. And it was just kind of an unusual state. Because they were so severely decomposed, they weren't able to find an actual cause of death, what happened to them. However, Bobby was found with a hole in the back of his head, and it did somewhat look like maybe it was a gunshot wound to the head, but nothing had been confirmed. So one of the theories that we're just going to start off with off the bat, because if you've seen any crime shows on it, or if you look this case up, this is like the first thing that you're going to see. So whether you believe this or not, I find it interesting, so I'm just going to let you guys know. So because their family was, convinced that their home was haunted, they claim that Madison would talk to things, like people that weren't there, and they had all of this like satanic things in the house, and they were always like talking about demons and witchcraft and all of this stuff. A lot of people were convinced that this could have maybe something to do with a cult. Now, the mom, I read in some places that the mom definitely believes that they were murdered. So maybe they like stumbled upon a cult out in the middle of the woods where they were found. Maybe they just kind of got involved with the wrong group of people who, I don't know, maybe were into like witchcrafts or cults or things like that, and they just kind of got in with the wrong people. So that is definitely one theory. And I don't know if there's like no real evidence that they were involved in a cult or anything like that. I think a lot of people just like to jump to cult conclusions for some reason. They're fascinating, but I don't know. But I do think that the, satanic things and the witchcrafts were very odd. And the seeing of the ghosts and talking to the pastor, like they were really truly convinced something was in the home. A huge theory in the case too is that it could have been a murder-suicide type of thing. One thing is because Sherilyn's gun was missing. I also just find this to be kind of weird. I don't know, because one, a gun was never found, which I find to be weird. There was no murder weapons, there was no guns. And to be fair, this was years after they had disappeared. It was out in the middle of the woods. So it's really kind of hard to say whether or not it was murder-suicide. A lot of people think that it could have been because of the note that was found in the truck, that they, were having severe marital problems. I know that they both suffered from depression. So their mental health state wasn't the best. But why would they bring the dog? Why would they have $32,000 in cash? Like, if one of them knew that they were just going to go out and have, do a murder-suicide, that to me just seems a bit odd. Like, the family dog was literally just left in the car, with $32,000 in cash, their cell phones, everything. I just find that to be weird. So I don't know. The family is so convinced that it wasn't a murder-suicide from either end. They're saying that they're, may have had some dysfunctional moments in their relationship, but they wouldn't have killed their daughter. They wouldn't have killed themselves or each other. Now that kind of pushes the theory to drugs. This could have been something drug-related. But again, when they did search their home and things like that and the truck, there were no hard drugs or anything like that found. The only thing that was found was prescription medication. So I don't necessarily know. A part of me I can see, especially with the very odd behavior of moving the things into the truck. That was weird watching the video. It does kind of maybe seem like that. But there was no indications. The people around them said that they weren't into drugs, and it's just kind of up in the air at this point. Some people think that that's why maybe they had the $32,000. Maybe they were, trying to sell drugs. Other people say that they were found in kind of a very sketchy area, an area where there can be prominent drug like related crime. So some theories are maybe that they stumbled upon like a drug deal and it had just gone wrong, and maybe they were witnesses to something, or maybe they were just involved in a drug deal gone wrong. But I just find this odd because I feel like if it was a drug deal gone wrong, like the people who they were involved with, why would they not have like gone through their car? That just seems kind of like something that they would do if they were trying, you know, willing to murder someone for maybe a drug deal gone wrong of money or something. Like, wouldn't you want to ransack the car to try to find maybe money? If they owed that large amount of money to someone, wouldn't they try to find it? So I don't know, like I could see how maybe they would be under the influence, but there was literally zero evidence, so I don't see how that could be. But also, why was the $32,000 still in the car? Like, that's just so weird to me. It was somewhat hidden, but the fact that the truck didn't even seem like it had been gone through is just very bizarre to me to think that that could have been what it was. One other theory, and I don't know about this one, but another one was that it could have been Bobby's dad. And I guess in the past, Bobby and his dad have had some serious issues. I guess Bobby's dad was considered to be just a dangerous man. He was in with the wrong crowd. He was in with drugs and prostitution and was kind of up to no good. Bobby had actually filed a restraining order against his father because he was actually convinced that his father was trying to murder him. He actually told the cops that he thought his dad was trying to murder him and his family. But the dad actually died a few months like later after they had gone missing. He was in kind of poor health, and that one just seemed to have been debunked. Like, he was never labeled a suspect from the police or anything like that. But it is kind of odd that, you know, if his dad was this dangerous man that they claimed, you know, could he have possibly done something like this? But why, you know? Another possible theory is a roommate that they had. They had a boarder. That's like what I read. I don't really know what that is. I should have done my research. His name's not out there or anything, but he was a roommate of Bobby and Sherilyn's for a moment of time until Sherilyn decided to literally kick him out at gunpoint. Apparently he was a very racist man. He was a white supremacist. He was terrible person and was constantly saying like racial slurs about other people and actually about Sherilyn, and would just talk terrible things about like Native American people and just any kind of like people of color. He was a very just terrible racist man, and one day Sherilyn just said enough is enough and literally held a gun to his head and was like, get the hell out of the house. Now, there really is no evidence, and he was never really considered to be a suspect again by the police. The only thing that they actually did somewhat find, from what I've read, and I've seen two different things, so this may or may not be true here, but allegedly there was a pill bottle found, an empty pill bottle with that roommate's name on it, but he was ruled out as a suspect, so I don't know if it was him or not. Maybe they owed him money, or I don't know. Again, I just feel like, I don't know. It's so hard to like come to a conclusion on this because it just doesn't make any sense what happened. The last theory that I have for you guys is that this could have just been literally a random serial killer. And this kind of falls along the theory that the mom of Sherilyn actually has, is she believes 100% that they were murdered by someone. And honestly, I can somewhat see this being realistic, just because if you were to think of like, say, just like a serial killer or just a crazy person who was out there and wanted to murder somebody, their kind of sole motive is murder. They don't have a sole motive to look through people's belongings. They just kind of do what it is that they want to do and get out. They were all laying in a line, so it did seem almost like it could have possibly been an execution style. It's hard to tell though, because they were found in such a terrible state and their bones and body just could have been moved by animals and things like that. But from what I read, they were lying face down on the ground. It was almost like it was like an execution style. So basically, Sherilyn's mom does think that they were murdered by someone, whether it was just a random person who maybe they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and maybe it could have very well been a murderer or just like a serial killer in the area. That, I mean, it's possible, They also think that it could have just been maybe they saw something that they shouldn't have seen, whether it was drug-related crime that was going on, or maybe they saw, you know, someone else getting murdered, or, you know, maybe they just witnessed something that they should not have witnessed, and therefore, unfortunately, they were murdered for it, which that is definitely a possibility. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm along that possibility. Like someone literally just murdering them out there for maybe they saw something, or just wrong place, wrong time, or kind of the murder-suicide theory, just for the fact that, you know, there was that letter that was in there. But from what I read, they would never do something like that to their daughter, and there was no like evidence that they were going to do that to one another. Why would they drive out into the middle of the woods to do it? I don't know. I mean, they did like to be alone, but I just think it's weird that they were so ready to like start a new life. Like their whole thing was that they wanted to move out of where they were in Oklahoma. They wanted to start fresh. They wanted to get a home on, you know, a large property of land and be away from the world. So how did that turn into a murder-suicide, you know? I don't know. What do you guys think? That this case is just so strange to me, and just the fact that there's like no evidence out there really of anything, and it's just this cold case with developing, it's just this cold case that has developed so many different theories, and honestly, I'm sure I haven't even touched base on all of them. I feel like this video is already going to be long with the theories that I did cover, so I didn't want to do every single theory that I did read, but there are other ones out there in case you guys were interested in reading about them. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up this video. Unfortunately, there were no real, you know, things found, no crazy evidence that was found. It's literally just a complete mystery. So I would love to hear what you guys think. Leave a comment down below what your theories are on this case. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are new to my channel, please subscribe. If you guys are interested in true crime, if you guys are interested in random beauty videos, things like that, I would love to have you join my channel. And thank you to all of you guys who are new to joining my channel, subscribing to my channel. I truly appreciate that. It means a lot to me to see so many of you guys so interested in these cases, and yeah. So that completes today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and ready? We'll see you in our next video. Bye!